Hi everybody! Today we're going to be writing another constructed response, just like the ones you'll be writing for the EOC. We've only got a few weeks left. Important time for us. We're going to be practicing constructed responses today. Remember that you will have 4 of these on the EOC, and all together they'll count about 40% of your EOC grade. So multiple choice, really important. We need to work hard on multiple choice too, but we can't just blow off these constructed responses. We have to make sure that we're striving for a 2 so that we at least get 1s on all of them. We can't afford to lose all those points. So let's strive for a 2 today, which means that we have text support, plenty of text support in our answers, and that we analyze, that we explain. And here's the good news. Your grammar does not have to be perfect. You want to write the best you possibly can, but if you make some spelling errors or some comma errors, that's okay for spelling capitalization. All right, so moving on. Today you're going to be writing a constructed response just like the ones for the EOC. We are going to be using the RACE method, of course. So let's review what that means. The RACE method. R plus A means that we restate the question in the prompt as a sentence, and we provide any extra information needed to answer the question. Now, sometimes everything you need is in the question. Sometimes you have to add an answer. Here's what I mean. Let's look at this sample question. If this were your question on the EOC, you could complete R and A by just turning the question into a statement. How does the author use language in the text to convey sadness? Your first sentence, your R plus A in your response. The author uses language in the text to convey sadness. How does the author use language in the text to convey sadness? Answer, the author uses language in the text to convey sadness. So you don't even have to provide the A here. The A is provided for you in the question. But sometimes you have to provide the A answer. Here's an example of that. How does the author use language in the text to convey an emotion? Now you have to figure out what the emotion is. The author uses language in the text to convey sadness. So in this case, you had to supply the A, but everything else still came straight from the question. All right, so for the RACE strategy, we start out with R plus A. To review, you might have to provide the A, or the question might provide the A for you. The C is to cite evidence. And remember, we want to weave these details into our quotations in the paragraph. Here are some transitions we can use to get into those text citations. The author says, for example, the text states, and so on. You should have this handout in your notebook, by the way, so feel free to use that today, or you can come back here, freeze the screen, and use the one on the screen. All right, so we cite text information just once? No, not just once. We need multiple pieces of text information. And for each piece of text information, we need a sentence or 2 explaining how that text information answers the question. And here are some transitions we use. This shows that. These parts of the text show. This proves. All right, so RACE. Restate the question as part of your answer, answer the question, cite text evidence, explain your text evidence. This is that analysis part that is so important. You can't even get a 1 without having some analysis. To kind of put it all together, let's look right here at the rubric part. After the R&A, repeat C and E until you have a well-developed response. After the R&A, repeat C and E until you have a well-developed response. So after you've restated the prompt and answered the question, probably in the same sentence, keep repeating C and E until you have a well-developed response. If you look at the rubric in bold, it's pretty clear what the most important things are right away. Response, cite text evidence, at least 2 pieces, even more, even better. Make sure we're shooting for the highest possible score. And then analyze. Analyze. That just means explain. That's what analyzing text evidence is. You're just explaining. This is what that text evidence shows. All right, so that's what race is. You're welcome to pause the screen at any point in order to review any of this. There's an example of a very good race response right here using Mary Had a Little Lamb. If you want to pause, zoom in and read that, you can. But let's go ahead and get to today's question. Here it is. We're going to be using Eleanor and Park today, so that's fun. We're not using one of those usual EOC type texts. We're using Eleanor and Park, pages 239 to 240. So you're going to want to get your book out when you're ready to write. Here it is on the screen. And here's the question you're answering today. Just like on the EOC, here's the instruction. Respond to the following question in a well-developed constructed response. Use evidence from pages 239 to 240 in the text to support your answer. Here is today's question. Here it is, today's question. Let's be real clear. Here it is in yellow. This is today's question. How does the author of Eleanor and Park use descriptive details? That just means language, words, phrases. How does the author of Eleanor and Park use descriptive details to convey how embarrassing it is for Eleanor when she has to leave the gym in her gym uniform? All right, so we're going to remember that for R&A, we're going to start off by restating the prompt. Why don't you hit pause, get your paper and pencil or pen ready, and then come back here and let's just get this started together. So hit pause, get your materials ready, your book, your paper, your pencil, your pen, and then come back here and let's get started together. Hit pause now. All right, so hopefully you are now ready to write. Let's do the R and the A together, just for practice. So we take the question, right? We take the question and we're going to restate it and answer the question. So here we go. The question is, how does the author of Eleanor and Park use descriptive details to convey how embarrassing it is, blah, blah, blah. So let's go ahead and get the R out of the way, the restating. The author of Eleanor and Park. See how I got that right out of the question? See? The author of Eleanor and Park. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can all see it. The author of Eleanor and Park, just to be clear, I'm answering here. The author of Eleanor and Park uses, what does the question say? The question says descriptive details. The author of Eleanor and Park uses descriptive details to do what? To convey how embarrassing it is for Eleanor. See how all of this is coming from the question. How embarrassing it is for Eleanor when she has to leave the gym in her gym uniform. Let me scroll up so I can show the question and the answer on the same page. There we go. So there's the question. Here's the first part of the answer. You can write this right on your paper if you need to. So this is the RNA. What do you have left to do? C and E. And we want to make sure that we repeat C and E as often as we need to until we have a well-developed response. So in just a second, you'll hit stop on this screencast because it'll be over. And then you're going to finish this paragraph. Here's the first sentence, but if you would rather word it differently, you're welcome to do that. I got to say there's not too many ways that you can word this differently. This is one of those questions where they gave you both the R and the A, because the fact that Eleanor is embarrassed is the A part, the answer. It doesn't say, how does Eleanor feel when she has to leave the gym in her gym uniform? It already says she's embarrassed. Your job is to figure out, how does the author of Eleanor and Park, we underline titles, by the way, when we're handwriting, use descriptive details to convey how embarrassing it is for Eleanor when she has to leave the gym in her gym uniform. So where do we get those C's and E's? Well, the C's come out of the text, right? So I'm going to read this text and see where the author is showing me what? How embarrassed Eleanor is. Where is the author showing me this? So I go back to the text and I start looking at the text for where the author is telling me that Eleanor is embarrassed. Eleanor looked down at the toilet. Even though she knew what she was going to see there, it still felt like a wet slap in the face. Her new jeans and her cowboy shirt were in a dark pile in the bowl. Ugh, I'm going to skip down a little bit. Here, Mrs. Burt said, handing Eleanor a yellow food for less bag. Fish 'em out. I don't want them, Eleanor said, backing away. She couldn't wear them anymore. Everybody would know those were her toilet clothes. All right, so later, Mrs. Burt tells Eleanor to go see her counselor. She says, I'll write you a pass. And then now we're getting to the part where we're finding out about Eleanor's embarrassment and having to leave in those clothes. Eleanor took a sharp breath. Mrs. Burt wasn't even looking at her. As soon as she got in the hallway, the tears came on hard. She couldn't walk through the school like this in her gym suit. All right, so here's a text citation I can use. The tears came on hard. Or I could use the fact that it says she couldn't walk through the school in her gym suit. Or I could use this part down here. Tina was probably selling tickets outside the cafeteria. There's more down here I could use. It wasn't just that her gym suit was ugly. It was also extremely tight. The shorts just barely cleared her underwear. The fabric stretched so tight over her chest, the seams were starting to pop. All right, now you don't want to copy all of those parts, but find some key phrases that you can use for text support, and then continue on writing your race response, your constructed response to this question. All right, work hard. I'll talk to you soon.